Oleksandr Usyk returns to the ring in Poland to defend his unified heavyweight titles, not against Tyson Fury, not against Anthony Joshua, but another Brit. It's Daniel Dubois, the WBA regular champion, who won his title of over Trevor Bryant and defended it against Larea. Uh, well, let's talk about this fight here on BWTM Sports Gaming. As you can tell, I'm really enthusiastic about this heavyweight fight. All right, so you could be forgiven, Daniel Dubois, after the Joe Joyce fight. But I remember sitting there and talking with Coach. And I said to Coach at the time, Coach, you're backing Dubois to beat Joe Joyce. I said at some point in this fight, Dubois is going to jack. At some point in this fight, his heart is going to fail him and he's going to find a way out of the fight. When he starts getting on top of him, when he starts getting hot in the kitchen, he's not going to want to know. And I knew this in sparring because I knew that Dubois was sparring the likes of Povetkin and a few other heavyweights, including Vlad Tsarenko. And the reports were that he didn't mind dishing it up. They didn't like taking it. And from there, I was able to say to myself, you know what? If he fights Joe Joyce and Joe Joyce starts coming at him, he's not going to know. And indeed, he didn't want to know. Kevin Larea, let's put some respect back on that man's name. Kevin Larea was the man that Dubois defended his title against. Now, Usyk has come up and defeated Anthony Joshua and then proved his supremacy over Anthony Joshua in a rematch. We talked to Tyson Fury, talked the big talk about fighting Usyk. And let me tell you something. I really think that Tyson Fury would fight Oleksandr Usyk, but I think he's still having nightmares from the Cunningham fight. He said Cunningham was the hardest fight of his career. He said because he just thought he could walk in straight lines and knock Cunningham out. But Cunningham was outboxing him. So can you imagine that Usyk's a far better boxer, far more accomplished fighter than Steve Cunningham, and Tyson Fury is even heavier now than he was when he fought Steve Cunningham. And his whole style is completely different. His whole style now is around, power and strength and bludgeoning opponents. Whereas before, when he fought Tyson Fury, it's a lot of movement and, pitter-patter. And he wasn't known for his big punch. Things have changed under Sugar Hill. Anyway, so can you imagine the sort of problems that Usyk could cause Fury? A fast Usyk, that is. So you see Usyk fight Joshua the first time, you see him fight the second time. You're like, yeah, I'll fight you, but I need to get some more steam out of you. I need you to lose steam. So this Dubois fight's happening now. And after this Dubois fight, we'll assess what Usyk's got left. He's been in with Chisora, and he would have been in with Dubois. He would have been in with Joshua twice, and Dubois. That would have taken something out of Usyk, considering his long amateur pedigree, a long career in the amateurs, and he's not like a young spring chicken now. And his career is based on speed, reflexes, movement. Take that into consideration. He's getting older. And he's a guy I don't think is going to last in boxing that much longer. So if there's a possibility that I can out-young you, not out-old you, out-young you. In other words, take the steam out of you because you've got some real momentum coming in after the Joshua fight. We don't want that. We don't want you coming in with the momentum of beating Joshua. Nah, we need to take the sting out of you. We need to slow negotiation down. We need to frustrate negotiations. No, we can't fight you now. It's too much of a risk to fight you now. We need to see you some more weakness. So we need to see signs that you are vulnerable. Then we'll come for you. So that's what I see with this fight of Usyk and Dubois, with Tyson Fury. He'll be sitting ringside. He'll be nearby watching this fight to see how much Usyk's got left. And I want to know how much Usyk's got left. So he's had the 2 fights from Joshua, and nobody's seen him since. And he did get quite touched up by Joshua. If you look at his face, he was touched up by Joshua. So he's not a defensive wizard. I mean, people think that Usyk's some defensive wizard. He isn't. But he's got good footwork. Now, when it comes to footwork, I mean, in comparison, Dubois walks around the ring like he's treading in quicksand. He's got leaden feet. So you can't compare his footwork to Usyk, and it's his footwork that's going to get him into position, Usyk, and get him out of position. Plus the fact that Dubois is very basic in style. The one thing Dubois has in his favor is he's heavy-handed, as with Joshua. But Dubois will let his hands go more. And here comes the if. If he doesn't feel Usyk can hurt him. But based on if Dubois hadn't fought Kevin Larrea, yeah? If he hadn't fought Kevin Larrea, I wouldn't have had such a dismissive thought process about Dubois. But after I saw Larrea clip him with that left hand, and this guy came up from middleweight, and he clipped Dubois and he dropped Dubois, it made me think, you know what? Either he hasn't got the heart or he hasn't got the chops. One or the other, he twisted his ankle. Could you imagine that was Usyk kicking with that left hand? Usyk's made Joshua do the silly dance. And I think, to me, Dubois will be working on Derek James, Don Charles, and he'll be wanting to get the best out of Usyk. Out of Dubois, I'm talking rubbish here. He'll want to get the best out of Dubois, Don Charles, and he'll be like a father figure. And it's a shame. Why couldn't they give in Dubois to Don Charles when he was unbeaten? No. They have to give Dubois to Don Charles when he's damaged goods, and Dubois is damaged goods. I'm even hearing stuff that he's not even running at the moment. I don't know if that's true or not true. Now, he's had an Achilles injury, and he used to post a lot of videos of him running. Many people on Twitter tell me, but now he doesn't. The injury may still be there. He may not. He may be coming to ring with one leg. He may not. I mean, he might be coming to ring with 2 legs, but one leg may be operational. In other words, even with David Haye, he came with 2 legs, but he was injured and fighting off one leg as the body broke down on him, literally before us. So I don't know how much Dubois actually has to offer. And if it's that, based on that Kevin Larrea fight, my friend, this fight will end very quickly. It might not make 6 rounds, because as soon as Usyk hits him, it could be issues. The only thing I think Dubois got a chance in this fight is if Usyk has slowed significantly. If he slows significantly and his reflexes aren't what they used to be, then he may get hit with shots that he may not have got hit with when he was fighting Joshua the first or second time. So Dubois' best chance is to get forward and let his hands go. But he's very basic coming forward. And he still is a boy in a man's body. He's very much immature, Daniel Dubois. He was very childlike and innocent almost. You know, I like knocking guys out. That sort of, not hate say, like those villains, cartoons, the goons. They go, he's not like mature in that sense. And when he was fighting Joe Joyce, I think he thought it was all of a song and a dance. And the reality came in when Joe Joyce started letting his hands go. He realized it was a fight. I think he's going to understand very quickly against Usyk. And Usyk would have looked at that Larrea fight and thought, right, I got slip inside and left my hand go. As soon as Usyk, I'm telling you all now, as soon as Usyk slips inside and lets that left hand go, it's the beginning and the end of Daniel Dubois. I'm telling you all right now. You know, but Usyk is no defensive wizard. And Fury would be hoping that Usyk is an old man. There seems to be a training issue as well. Who's training Fury? It's not Sugar. Okay. I think the peak of Daniel Dubois we've seen, and early on, he'll be a tough fight, but Usyk will get him later on and outclass him. You think so? I think Usyk might get him early, honest. if Usyk uses good lateral movement and presses late, he could force a stoppage. I think he could stop Daniel Dubois early, because if Kevin Larrea was able to land that left hand, he's a southpaw and he's not even got the skill set of Oleksandr Usyk. My God, this fight could end very early. Larrea had him down in the first round, and Larrea's not a puncher, and Larrea came from middleweight. So I'm sorry, and that was meant to be a punch-up job for Dubois, something to make Dubois look good, and he made him look awful, exposed him. So, like I said, I've always said Dubois is a flat track bully, and he's had no development, improvement in fights. So the Larrea fight was not meant to be a fight for Dubois to. It's not a fight he was meant to look bad in. It was a fight he was meant to end early against Larrea, but that didn't happen. And that's why I said I wish that Larrea fight never happened, because if that Larrea fight never happened, I still would have said, oh yeah, Dubois got a great chance in this fight, because if he lands, he can hurt Usyk. But not like that, mate. Not fighting based on that, you know. I don't mean to insult Dubois, but I really think he doesn't have enough brains to fight or much else. Well, that's what I've been trying to allude to. I mean, even in the photo you see here with him and Usyk, he looks timid even in the photograph. I'm sorry. I like, you know, you could lead Daniel Dubois into a room of lions and tell them all pussycats, and tell them that, you know, that it's okay, they're grown kittens, and he'd believe you. That's the sort of almost gullibility I think is with Daniel Dubois. I'm sorry. I wish I could have a different opinion on this, but I just got to call it as I see it, not as I'd like to see it. And I said to people before, when Dubois was knocking people over, oh, he's the next coming of, well, who's he fighting? For me, when a heavyweight gets hit back on the chin and he's in against a decent opponent and he can come back, that's fine. But don't tell me that Kevin Larrea is his test, because Kevin Larrea was a knockover job. So I just imagine Ingram Jones watching Dubois versus Joyce, slapping his forehead. Bruv, what you doing? Oh, no, I wasn't slapping my forehead, mate. Coach Chris was like, yeah, Daniel Dubois is going to beat Joe Joyce. Said, no, mate, it's not happening. He chucked it in the amateurs. He ducked it in the amateurs. He didn't want to know. And he's had that mentality since. I call him the Tin Man. So they call Vitaly Klitschko the Tin Man, but Vitaly Klitschko is different. Vitaly Klitschko had an injury against Chris Bird, and then he showed his heart and his guts. First of all, against the South African Corey Sanders, and then afterwards, and that was a great fight between him and Corey Sanders, and then the great fight with him and Lennox Lewis. It was an injury, so this guy's a Tin Man. I don't think there's any heart there whatsoever. But he got up against Kevin Larrea, so you can't knock that. But this isn't Kevin Larrea, and Usyk's not going to get paid off. So you've got Dubois in a very dodgy fight, a fight I don't think he can win. Joyce is in a fight I don't think he can win. And you got White versus Joshua. So at least, we've got 3 big heavyweight fights that's going to clear up some space, with a few people either retiring or we won't be seeing again very soon. So if Dubois is able to land that punch out of anywhere, nowhere, somewhere, I don't know. I just don't think he's got the skill set to do it. But if he can land on Usyk somehow, and just, I don't know. But I don't see it. A man like Usyk should not be getting caught by a man like Daniel Dubois. Just intelligence alone. I'm sorry. Dubois may lose the fight before he even gets in the ring. That's how much confidence I've got in Dubois. Dubois will stand over Usyk and look over him and look at him like he's a little boy. And then he'll get in the ring and find out he's fighting a man. Do you think we'll see one heavyweight champion in 2025, Ingram? Well, they're saying that the fight between Usyk and Fury has been signed after this Dubois fight. That's what I hear. But, you know, Fury's going to fight. It's rumors he's going to fight Ngannou. And it's interesting. I spoke about Ngannou in previous videos. And I said that he'd make a decent boxer. Now, look. It's funny how the world is, isn't it? And they're all laughing at Ingram back then. They're not laughing now, for sure. They're not laughing anymore. Trophy zone it is now. Right, those are my thoughts on Usyk versus Dubois. You know, if Usyk loses to Dubois, he may as well damn well retire. If Dubois ends up becoming unified champion of the world, could you imagine Dubois versus Tyson Fury? Oh my gosh.